Hey everyone, welcome to the show today. I'm with my friend Joel Fox. Joel, how you doing today?
I am well, thank you. Got my second Fauci ouchie last Monday. I'm doing good.
Oh, good. Yeah, you got to get those, right? Yeah, me too, man. I'm all in.
Definitely.
Yeah, it's all good. Good. Well, awesome. Well, you're kicking it out there in Oregon, kind of taking down the whole West Coast. So congrats on that. Tell the folks who don't
Not
know,
quite.
how'd you get into real estate? What made you decide to get into real estate?
Well, I came to real estate in 2018.
Hmm.
I started with the Nick Vertucci bus tour,
Hmm.
which was an incredibly interesting educational experience. I met some really cool people doing that. I also realized over the year of 2018, 2019,
Hmm.
that I came late to the flip and house flipping because the inventory was incredibly slim
Hmm.
by the time I got intensely interested in searching properties.
Right.
And I came to realize that the it wasn't just big players like Aaron Adams or um, um, Toby Mathis and Clint Coons, who are buyers, active buyers, and rental operators.
Hmm.
They're my attorneys. Mathis and Coons are my attorneys, tax attorneys. So these are guys are players in the market. But even behind them, I realized in the last year or two that hedge funds have gotten into this and they buy thousands of properties.
Hmm.
And so they make it really difficult because they have the capital behind them to buy huge volumes of real estate. And they
Right.
can market intensely and continuously and relentlessly. And
Hmm.
so I'm a new guy and I don't have that kind of capital. So I realized that I should get into a different kind of real estate. So
Hmm.
I've tried looking at commercial, I've tried looking at residential assisted living, and that's how I got your name,
Hmm.
because you were involved with Gene Garino at one of their conventions, and
Yeah.
that's how I saw your name.
Cool.
That's how I got the solving the senior housing puzzle book,
Very
was
cool.
through you guys. And I realized that relationships with people who have to make the transition to senior living, establishing the relationship is the way to go.
Hmm.
Okay. And I identified with your method and your program because it is, you called it the trusted advisor. Well,
Hmm.
that really set off uh, um, my electrical signals
Sure.
between my ears,
Yeah.
because it fits in with my career lifestyle. I was an accountant. I was the guy behind the entrepreneurial guy. I
Hmm.
was the trusted advisor.
Hmm.
I had that role when I worked for a software publisher who was an accounting, a construction software publisher. I helped people get unwound from their thing that they weren't supposed to do with the software. Why couldn't they print? I was the guy who got them untrapped.
Right.
Okay, well, this is a similar kind of scenario where um, um, it happened to me and my family. My mother had a stroke or something like that. We didn't really know exactly what happened to her, but we came to her house one day and she had a pile of mail, including a bunch of checks that she never deposited. She had biological experiments in her refrigerator. This was not my mom anymore. She was not the person she used to be. And so we had to make the change. And she didn't want to sell her house, but she had to sell her house.
Hmm.
Okay. She couldn't live alone anymore. She'd been living on her own for 25 years. Well, that was then, and this is now. And so we went through the whole process, of the transition and finding the next place for mom to go and all that stuff. And I see myself as an experienced, uh, a long-term care warrior because I've been through it. Okay. And I can tell people, this is how you avoid having your parent get institutionalized, by being in a place where they're not well taken care of. This is what you look for. This is what you don't look for. And so I want to play that role, except with the real estate element. And I see this as the way to go and to be in real estate. I started out being an investor. I realized early on that if you're a realtor, you have to disclose you're a realtor. If you're an investor, you don't have to be a realtor to be an investor. But so, there's pluses and minuses to being a realtor. But in this kind of environment, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages for being a realtor. I've now come to the conclusion that I should become a realtor. I'm involved in the Oregon real estate licensing program. I'm about a third of the way through it or something like that. So I figure I'll be licensed in a couple of months.
Cool. Yeah.
That's kind of how I came to this spot in life. I probably am twice as old as you, but the real bottom line about why I'm doing this is my children cannot support themselves. And the money I was making, even though I was making really good hourly rate as an accountant, it doesn't cover it for what my kids need and for what they are unable. Their wiring does not, their autism does not allow them to have a $30 an hour job. Right. It's just never going to happen for my little guys, although they're not little, but they are a lot younger than me. And at the same time, they have a whole lifetime ahead of them. So what am I going to do? What are they going to do?
Right.
They'll either be struggling through life, or I can give them a little boost and get them set up with some kind of services, someplace to live. That's that's how come I'm doing this, is my kids need help and I can help them if I do this the right way.
Absolutely. So what is what are like the first couple steps to getting going with, a residential assisted living home? What is it like getting that started in your state, and how long do you think it'll take for you
So here's the deal with residential assisted living here in Oregon. Nobody who has a good going business is selling their place. If you want to get a place, then you're hustling the phones, trying to find somebody that's willing to talk to you about selling. So you have to get through the gatekeeper, if you can, to get to the decision maker.
Right.
That's a struggle in itself. Sure. I couldn't find anybody that was interested in selling a facility. I did find a guy that was interested in selling a home healthcare agency. That's no real estate. That's just services for people who go to a home, they go to somebody's residence.
Right.
Or they go to an assisted living facility to provide services. The struggle with that was the guy had 6 figures in outstanding levies to the IRS. And that is because the assisted living services that he was providing, the paycheck, you're struggling on 2 ways. It's hard to keep and attract people because the pay is so low, because they only can give them what the federal government will reimburse. The services are it's Medicare, and so it's short term only. There's no long-term care through the federal government. Okay, so it's private pay or insurance pay. Not that many people have long-term care, and not that many people can afford past the 100 days that the federal government will pay. And so the other trap behind home healthcare services is finding staff and keeping and retaining staff.
Sure.
So I realized that, after looking at the guy's balance sheet, I realized that this is it doesn't pencil. Okay, the guy had a good business and made it last, but in order to make it last, he had to borrow from the federal government, and they didn't like that, so they levied him.
Interesting.
So he's in deep with them. So now he's trying to sell his business, but I couldn't be the buyer because it wasn't working. I mean, his business worked until it didn't. And so I didn't want to be the guy that had a business that didn't.
No.
So take it off his hands.
So
now what I'm doing is I'm looking using your system to find people that have equity in a home or need to sell. And there's a lot of retirees in this state. I'm willing to travel up to Portland from where I live or at the point where I'm at is I need to get involved with the social networking so that I can reach out and be in their living room without being in their living room physically.
Right. Absolutely.
I need to get that going.
Cool. Well, that sounds awesome. Well, I want to congratulate you on, becoming a published author. It's obviously a big deal, and we were excited to help you do that. What do you plan on, how do you plan on using your new book to, target more sellers and, help more people like, the families similar to what you went through when you were working with your parents?
Well, I don't have that specific plan set up yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's how come I need to get my marketing plan set up
mm-hmm.
and establish the social networking program. And at this point in time, Oregon is struggling with the coronavirus. Some places are, there's hardly any place in the state that's low risk.
Right.
The county where I am in is high risk. It has been extreme risk.
Right.
There's a number of counties that are currently classified as extreme risk. Places like Eugene, which is 200,000 people, and Portland, which is 500,000 people, mm-hmm. they're still in significantly higher risk category. So, restaurants are allowed to operate at 25%. Well, it's hard to make a business go on 25%. You can't charge 4 times as much.
Right.
And people won't eat 4 times as much. Mm-hmm. So it's a struggle for them. And so it's hard to travel around with that. So that's how come I'm looking at using the online mechanism to establish relationships with the real estate investment clubs and those kinds of folks.
Perfect. Well, now you've been in our trusted expert program for a few months now.
Couple months.
Yeah. What's your experience been like? Would you recommend it to other, investors that are, living in different parts of the country?
Well, I would. I would say that, like many other things, it's about compatibility. Mm-hmm. So I found that the using a business owner mindset is compatible with my personality. Mm-hmm. Using the trusted expert theme, it mm-hmm. fits my personality because of the kind of career I've had over my many years of being a bookkeeper, being an accountant, mm-hmm. Being a software technical advisor. That was my role. Now I'm transforming myself into this kind of advisor, mm-hmm. from another kind of advisor, but it's really the same kind of mindset, in that you're illustrating to people why something works. Math always adds up.
Yep.
So it's an important connection to be able to say why the math works, how the math works. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing with senior care.
Yeah.
Time leaves nobody behind.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're all in this situation where one day or another, we have to feel that it's okay to make a change.
Right. Very good. Let me ask you this. If somebody wanted to reach out to you and talk about, partnerships or doing deals together, in the Oregon area, or they know about something either somewhere else, what's the best way for somebody to, get a hold of you and contact you?
The best way to contact me is through my email or a telephone call. Can I tell you that?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, so my email is jfhousingfund@gmail.com.
Okay.
And my telephone is 707-888-4494, and mention Deals Chasing You.
Nice.
Right. That's how I'll know that they came through you.
Yeah, very cool. Well, good. Well, last question here as we're wrapping up. Let's just fast forward a year from now. Where do you see your business being, 1 year from today? What's kind of your, the future's unpredictable, but I'm sure that you've got a game plan and you're working your plan and planning your work. So what if, for the next 12 months to be really successful, where would you want to be?
Well, let's see. I would say that I'm I'm interested in developing some kind of network through EXP Realty to show some realtors. There's about a half a dozen realtors in the town where I live who are involved with EXP, but I think there's a lot of opportunity yet to be developed here. There's a number of brick and mortar places. There's value in this town. The city is probably 140 years old, going back to the 1850s or something like that when it first opened up. There's newer homes and older homes. There's a lot of old homes next to new homes. So there's value in between the new places and the old places. And there's a hot realty market in this area. Oregon has a fair number of millionaires. So there's some really nice homes here too. There's a 5-star golf course about 15 miles down the road from where we live here. People fly in. I would say that I think that by developing a group of people that I speak to about investments, that I can work deals and find more investors and pair up and partner up and do some stuff.
Very cool. Yeah.
And make something happen for my boys.
Yeah. Well, that's wonderful. It feels good. It's a lot more motivating when you're doing it for somebody else, just not, ourselves. And I have no doubt that you will. You're in a good part of the country. The median house value is high. The migration rate's high. There's, people moving to the area, and there's, and yeah, as far as all the stuff you're talking about, EXP, I'm living proof of that too. It's been, I love it. I love being a part of the organization, and there's still a ton of people who really don't know or understand it. And then of course, residential assisted living, it's not, if you think about what's going to, go up or down in the next 10 years, it's hard to say with certainty, but the math, like you said, I was a math teacher. So, we're speaking the same. I studied accounting and finance in college. So, and I had those kind of jobs before I became a teacher. So we're like talking the same wavelength. The math doesn't lie. And, the senior population, the baby boomers, more and more of them are going to need extra help. And they're, like you said, they're going to have,
yes, that's a big thing. Demographics are the future. Okay. The aging population is a large population. The baby boomers were a big bunch of people.
The largest. If we talk about, like sequence, like it's the largest one. There's no other, group of 20 years where there was more people born ever in the United States. So it's like, I shared a stage with Harry Dent, who wrote The Demographic Cliff, he was talking about how we talked later in that evening after we did all the daytime stuff. In his book, he's like, economics, people make it real complicated, but it's actually not as complicated as you think. People do predictable things as they age. And so if you just follow people as they age, it's just more and more of those particular services are going to be needed and necessary. And that's why I, like you, have decided to just focus on working, predominantly with, seniors and helping them, because the numbers don't lie. There's just going to be a lot of needs, and we want to, be places where people need help.
Let's see. I was going to ask you a couple things.
Do it.
Look at my,
check your cheat sheet.
Yes, I have a cheat sheet. Let's see. I'm interested in finding out information about the Certified Housing Educator Program that you spoke of a week or two ago.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if you have new information about that, but put me on your list for that.
Yeah.
Certifications are helpful.
Yeah.
It's a point of credibility for people to be able to, show your certificate or something like that. Or I can put a page in the book if I can at some point. Today I received this guide.
Oh, very cool.
Workbook. It showed up in my mailbox. The glare is a little. This is the book.
Yep.
It's 8.5 by 11 sized publication. I think, if I'm not mistaken, that it's available to have similar to this, which has my picture on it.
All right.
I can have my picture put on the Home to Home book.
Yeah.
As well. This is there we go. There's the glare, there it glares off. I think I can have my picture put on this too, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
Or on the inside. So I'm also going to need to find out about, I haven't placed an order for them. It's my understanding I'm supposed to get a minimum number at some point, but I haven't received them and I'm not sure how to order them. So maybe I should ask Kate to contact me about that.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah,
there's that aspect too.
Yeah, once you get your book, we just make sure that you like the way it turned out and it's locked in. And then once it is, and you give us a thumbs up, then we send you your starter amount. So you get some started, and we place that order for you.
I'll send her email.
Yeah, just send her an email, and then we'll send you the link to where you can buy them at cost.
Okay. A few weeks ago, you sent me a book about being a private mortgage lender. Is that exclusively for people who are already successful investors, or is that something that new real estate agents and new investors can use? And if so, how does a new investor or a new realtor use it?
Yeah, great question. Yeah, so folks who are in the program are a mix. Some of the folks have already been raising money. They just haven't had anything to actually give people that's valuable and information. They've just been answering all the questions. Some of the people are newer, but the only requirement to to getting use out of the book is that if you're actively looking for investors for your deals, and how to do the deal, all you really need is the financing in order to take it all the way, then the book can be helpful. Because one of the things that we've noticed is that especially with private lenders, is the recurring nature. You get a couple really good private lender relationships, you can use them, over and over again in your real estate deals. And so it's just kind of a win. The other thing we noticed that private lenders, they know other private money lenders. And so what's been cool about the book is that folks who have, who are experienced, or even people who are a little bit newer, can hand it to people and say, hey, have you thought about investing in real estate? And they're like, I've thought about it, but I don't know, how to do it well or who to trust. And you can say, well, this book kind of shows you the how to, and you can give it to them. And then, what ends up happening is they, decide, oh, okay, this is the how to. And then the person I trust is the person who gave me the book. Like Leonard's in Seattle, so on your coast. And, it's interesting because we always think about like experience and new, and most people are not, nobody coming to our program is usually, 22 and, just never even had a job. Most folks that we work with that are existing, well, they've been doing it a long time, but the folks that are newer to real estate, they're not new to business. They're not new to making decisions that, matter. They're just taking, like Leonard was had a long career with one of the big, there's a lot of big airplane companies, Lockheed or one of those companies, and he was an engineer for them. And so it's like when you're
Boeing is huge in Seattle.
Yeah, Boeing. So it's like when you take 30 years of being, the head of engineering, or one of the big leads for a huge company, that all that experience, working with other people and making important decisions and meeting deadlines, those are the things we do as real estate investors. And so most of the people who come to us that are newer, they have experience in other areas, and they want to be able to kind of showcase that and share, with these new folks, because obviously attracting money's an important part of the equation too. And so we kind of, whether you're trying to get deals or you're trying to get private lending, we wanted to have both of those, bases covered, because that's what you need as a real estate investor.
So here's another question. I mentioned earlier, you asked me about what I thought I'd be doing in a year.
Yeah.
So in the coming year, I need to have my social networking marketing set up and flowing and operating. Is that something that, do you provide step-by-step guidance on how to set that up? Or do I need to farm that out to somebody who's a social networking provider?
No, people do both. So but we have it laid out in our course. In our course, we have really the 9 steps that all real estate investors do to get a deal, all the way from picking who you want to work with to, closing the contract. And one of the steps in there, we have some scripts where we show how to actually choose who you want to build your network with, because it depends on your goals and what your specific exit strategies are. And then we have specific ways that you can find out who they are, and then how to reach out to them and what to say to them. So we have that all built in to our course. So when you're starting to build that out, I can show you where that is in there, and then you can just go to it and just start working the steps that are in there.
I may already have access to that. I mean, you guys have a big website. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Yeah.
What I'm referring to is the digital world, where and you've talked about it on some of your weekly calls about using YouTube and that sort of thing. That's the part I'm unfamiliar with. I'm a little more old school than just clicking into Facebook and TikTok and YouTube.
Right.
I came from the world of fax machines. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, hardly anybody uses a fax machine. People list their fax number, but who uses a fax machine nowadays? Yeah, so it's the digital world that I need to become more either adept at, or to sub it out so that I'm being seen online.
Right.
And that's the part I'm wondering, is that the part you provide step-by-step guidance for, or is that where I need to go and find a guy?
No. So we have both. So what we have is we have a step-by-step. I'll take our Facebook course. So we basically just took the ways that we attract motivated sellers for our house buying business and how we do it with our Facebook ads. And we just recorded it, screen shared, and allow you to watch it. And it's simple. We're not talking about real complicated stuff. We're talking about the basic steps that you need to get seen by who you want to see. So, like on one of our member calls, we did that. So some people watch that and choose to set it up themselves. Some people watch it and now go, okay, I know exactly what it is that I want. And then we have the 7 or 8 most important questions that you should ask when you're trying to reach out to a provider to help you do that. And then you can go that route if you want to outsource it. We found that, with outsourcing, it's just a huge help to already know a little bit about it so that you can tell if, you're picking the right person or not. Just like when you're looking for businesses, it helps that you've already looked at the P&Ls and the balance sheets for other businesses. And so it's sort of like, it doesn't matter what business it is, you can, make great decisions. So that's the framework that we provided. And it's enough for some people just to do it DIY and do it themselves, but some people just don't want to. And there's nothing wrong with that.
Can you provide me a path, a digital path to find the information that you're referring to?
Yeah. So
I can, look in the right, sometimes there's a fire hose of information in a bazillion different links to look at. And, you click through them and you click through them and you click through them. This isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what I'm looking for. This isn't what. And so if you can give me a specific path, then I'm not, it's one thing to drink from the fire hose, but it's another to swim in the ocean. And so I would really rather have a roadmap to find what I'm looking for, because you have a pretty big website.
Yeah. So I'll show you that. I'll break it down. I'd love to.
That'd be really helpful.
When we were creating our course, it takes about 18 hours to go through the whole thing. And it's the full implementation guide for any of the 3 books. It's basically how to go from finding out who it is that you're targeting all the way to closing the deal. And so the average module is about 2 hours each. And then there's some smaller videos within it. And we have it broken up into topics. And so what we'll do is that offline, I'll just show you kind of, which topic it is, where that stuff's located. I'll show you the specific resources. So just reach out to us, reach out on the main email, and then I'll send you the specific links, and then we'll just jump on a follow-up call, and I can, you just even do a quick walkthrough. Does that sound good?
Sounds great. I appreciate that.
Well, we're looking forward to having you back on and getting an update of how things are going. So continue to go out there and represent the community well. And I wish you tons of success, and looking forward to our next chat. Sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. We'll
Looking
talk
forward
soon.
to it.
Thanks, everybody. If you need anything, just feel free to check out some of our other videos, or reach out to us. More than happy to help. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.
Glad to be on your team.
Hey, you too.
See you next time.
Got it.